address that. Some of the concerns that I wanted to point out were serious concerns by the caucus. There were several invitations after the appointment of interim appointment of Mr. Teichman to come and sit down with the delegates at its monthly meetings, some of which were here in Oahu, to address some of the concerns and some of the issues that we're looking at, as a body and an organization. Unfortunately, at all those invitations, he did not incline to accept the invitation. Also, we are also very concerned because there was absences that he could not attend after his appointment to the Board of Regents, one including at my campus. I'm a dual student. I'm a student at Kapiolani Community College and at UH Manoa, doing major in psychology and journalism. So those were some of the offerings of comments today that I think that it's serious concerns that if you don't make yourself available to hear some of the issues that we tackle every month, as student volunteers to look at, the well-being of the over 50,000 students across the 10 campuses. I think that that's a concern for the caucus. Lastly, I would like to just humbly thank you again for the opportunity to offer my comments on behalf of the organization, the University of Hawaii Student Caucus. Good afternoon.
Very good. Thank you very much, Liana. We have testimony from Bonnie Jean Manini, UH Manoa. Testimony in support. Donna Prather, Atherton YMCA. Testimony in support. Michael Kawaharada. Testimony in support. Robert Wotring. Testimony in support. Jamie Sohn, Associate Students of UH Manoa. Testimony in support. Let's see. Jamie Shado. Testimony in support. Mathia Allen Smith. Testimony in support. Sheila Jane Menon. Testimony in support. David Sagan. Testimony in support. Lynette Young. Testimony in support. Samuel Alton. Testimony in support. Wilford Au. Testimony in support. Lei Wakayama. Testimony. Oh, should we call it already? Duplicate. Oh, sorry. Just that's a duplicate there. Marlene Young. Testimony in support. Rick Eischer. Testimony in support. Jerry Young. Testimony in support. John Kando. Testimony in opposition. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, honorable members of this committee. My name is John Kondo, a liberal arts pre-political science major, student from Kapiolani Community College. I also serve as the vice chairman of the Associated Students of Kapiolani Community College and the second delegate from Kapiolani Community College to the University of Hawaii Student Caucus. I come before to this chamber to give my testimony against the confirmation and appointment of Mr. Grant Teichman as the next student regent of the University of Hawaii Board of Regents. For my participation in student governance in my own campus, I have always put the best interests of my constituents, the students, first. As a student leader representing over 8,000 students, I have made the commitment to serve my constituents by making myself available, not only to my constituents, but also the time commitment required to attend campus-wide meetings, and also as a student delegate representing my campus in the UHSC and discussing critical issues that are affecting the lives of over 50,000 UH students. In my term, I have never missed any meeting, whether it is in my campus or other campuses. I find it extremely disappointing that Mr. Teichman could not make himself available for the last 3 months through 3 formal invitations by the UH Student Caucus. Furthermore, I find it very insulting to the whole student body that he was not present again at the February 20, 2009 Board of Regents meetings hosted at my campus. If Mr. Teichman cannot afford a minimal time commitment to address the UH Student Caucus delegates that only meets once a month, and or the UH Board of Regents meetings, which he had only attended one meeting since his default appointment, then the students are being denied proper representation in the decision-making process and deliberations in the UH Board of Regents. I believe it will be a grievous mistake to the students if Mr. Teichman is confirmed today. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify to this respected committee, and I ask this honorable body to reconsider and deny Mr. Teichman's confirmation as the next student regent to the UH Board of Regents. Thank you.
Thank you. We have testimony from Danielle Bass in support. Late testimony, I think, has been received as well. Okay. Members, we have testimony from Joseph Lewis, President of the Associated Students of the University of Hawaii Student Senate. Oh, there you go.
Hi.
Thank you.
Chair Tokuda, Vice Chair Sakamoto, thank you, and members of the committee, thank you for hearing me. I come today as an elected representative from Honolulu Community College, representing the voice of the students there. We are opposed to Mr. Teichman's confirmation today for a few reasons that if I could point out. One is the student caucus issue, which you heard. We want him to be able to hear some of the concerns that's directly impacting students. That's one issue, and he's denied us that opportunity. So he doesn't really know exactly what's going on at all the campuses. Secondly, he doesn't go to Board of Regents. He hasn't gone to Board of Regents meetings. His attendance ratio since appointed as an interim student regent is 33%. Furthermore, I find it very interesting how of the 50,000 students registered in the university system, the governor only had one student to choose from. And that doesn't really recognize the diversity of our system, our university system. It doesn't give other students opportunities. And so I'd like to ask this board to not only withhold his confirmation, but also ask for a revised list of student regents so that other students can be offered the opportunity to step up. I believe that we deserve someone that's going to be fully committed to the students and to the people of our state. We face hard times ahead, and his absence at Board of Regents meetings, him not coming to our caucus meetings to just hear some of the student concerns, I think is a sign that of what he will display as a student regent. And I ask you to consider these things when confirming him today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify too
Sure.
that there is a candidate advisory committee that accepted any individual. You yourself could have applied or can apply in the future to be a member of the Board of Regents for the students. The candidate advisory committee then selected, I believe, 2 names that went on to Governor Lingle for consideration. Mr. Teichman was one of those names that was considered. The previous individual that she had put forward did withdraw his name. But it is an open process, so anyone who is interested in being a regent as a student or as a member of the public does have an opportunity to put their name forward for consideration. So I just wanted to make sure that you had that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. We also have testimony from Carl Furutani, who will stand on his testimony in support. Okay. Sarah Yap, Director of Student Union and Campus Services at UH Manoa, testimony in support. Is there anyone else here who wishes to testify? Okay, Mr. Teichman, if you could come forward. Oh, sorry, did you want to come forward and testify? Oh, okay, sorry. Grant, if you could have you come forward.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Valerie Anderson. I am testifying as an elective student representative of over 6,000 students at Leeward Community College. We are also opposed to Mr. Teichman's confirmation at this time. We also feel that it's due to the caucus situation that we're not having a voice. We ask that his interim be extended so he can prove that his dedication to the student body, faculty, and the representatives of the state deserves as 100%. We also agree with the fellow community colleges. We're just opposed
Okay.
to it at this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. Ms. Anderson. Okay. Is anyone else here wishing to testify on the governor's message? Okay, please come forward. And for those of you who are doing verbal testimony, if you can please submit your written so it can be included in the record. Okay.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Afternoon.
Lady, members. My name is Alicia Kalahiki. I'm a student at Windward Community College. I'm a dual campus student, Windward and Kapiolani Community College. I am Vice Chair for Student Caucus and First Delegate from Windward. I myself am opposed to his selection today, his confirmation. Therefore, the reason being, as a Native Hawaiian in the UH system, there is so much Native Hawaiian members or students that can fulfill this seat. I feel that Mr. Grant Teichman does not know what the issues as Native Hawaiian students are faced in our system. And on this, I rescind his confirmation in behalf of this committee. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Kalahiki. Anyone else? Okay. If not, Grant, can you come forward, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to go ahead and start with the opening statement to the committee?
Sure.
as well?
Thank you, Chair Takuda and other members of the Committee on Higher Education. Thank you for having me here today. I'm very proud to sit here before you. I'm a third-generation student at the University of Hawaii. I've served in various student leader capacities before, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. I guess seeing as how the testimony has unfolded in the past few, it sounds like I possibly have some questions to answer for the caucus members and for everyone else in the room. And so the first thing is there is a concern. I understand as a former student leader, I was president of the Associated Students of the University of Hawaii twice and the president-elect of the Campus Center Board. I understand having access to administrators in the regions is of the utmost importance. I just wanted to assure the committee that I have been doing my utmost to provide access to anyone who is willing to talk to me. I believe I was appointed by Governor Lingle on January 4th. On January 15th, I sent an email to the UH Student Caucus asking them if they were willing to meet to make myself available to discuss any university issues. I felt that although I had begun as an acting regent, I could really benefit from listening to the caucus. I forwarded my cell phone number, my email address. I just wanted to put it out there to make sure I was available. And that still stands today. I'm looking forward to hearing. I just wanted to assure the caucus that I've always been available and I will always be available as a student regent. And I understand it's an extraordinary, difficult position because in a lot of ways the student regent's asked to be all things to all people, to represent the student's voice on the board, but to also have a fiduciary duty to the university. Although I did send emails to the caucus asking them for individual meetings, I didn't hear back from the chair until February 24th via email, so nearly a month and a half later. I didn't believe I could wait that long to find out what the student issues were. I had a pretty good understanding based on my time as a student leader, so I met with Karen Lee, the caucus advisor. I met with her twice in January and twice in February. She indicated to me that there were no legislative or scholastic priorities as of early February. However, the caucus was very interested in the president's search. And the nature of their concern was that they were not allowed to pick the delegate on the search committee. Rather, the student was selected without their consent. That was their number one priority. Other student priorities that have come up are the UPass, a proposed UPass fee, which is before the board this Friday at the March meeting. There was a comment that I only attended 33% of the board meetings. I would like to say that there have only been 2 meetings during my time as a regent, one in January and one in February. The third one will be this Friday. I was there in January. I missed February because I was at a graduate seminar out of town that was scheduled months in advance. And I just also wanted, in closing, just to assure the committee that I will always be available to the students, whether it be through multiple lines of access, through email, through my cell phone, through scheduling an appointment through the Regent's office, any way possible. And with that, if you had any questions.
Okay. Members, questions? Maybe. Okay, just so we can clarify, since I think, we did have a few pieces of testimony in opposition to your confirmation, and you did try to clarify them for us. I did see some shaking heads in the background, but I just want to get it clear for our records. So you attempted to contact the student caucus, is that correct?
Yes, January 15th.
Okay. According to their testimony, they said that they extended formal invitations. Did you receive those formal invitations?
I received a formal invitation on January 20th, which was 4 days before the first caucus meeting, and I already had previous meetings engaged. So what I suggested via email was that I meet with the chair or the leadership of caucus in addition with their advisor for a sit-down. I did not hear back. The first email I got from the chair was on February 24th, where she congratulated me on my recent appointment, and said, unfortunately, we have not had the opportunity to formally meet or be introduced. And I'm sure that you're just as busy these days as I am. I realize, everyone's a student. I'm a student. I know all the caucus members are students. Everyone is busy. And that's why, and the caucus only does meet once a month. And maybe that's not the most effective way of getting in touch between people. I'm in classes, they're in classes. And that's why it's so important through emails and telephone calls, or maybe sitting down at a separate time with whoever is available, that we pursue those avenues of access as well, and trying to open up as many corridors as possible.
Okay. Did they ever take you up on your offer to have a sit down with them, maybe separate from their caucus meetings?
I did my best. I tried to arrange a meeting recently, first in January and again recently, but due to the scheduling conflicts between the leadership of caucus, it was not possible.
Okay. But you did meet with Karen Lee, who is their, is that their advisor?
Their advisor, and also the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs. I told her, or I asked her if she'd be willing, because I have email exchanges with her, because I was not able to get in touch with the caucus leadership and sit down with them, or in a sit-down setting, if she'd be willing to give me updates on how the meetings went, if she could bring me any concerns that they have, and to also ask her to provide them with my cell phone number and my email addresses.
Okay.
But I do recognize that the caucus, and as a former student leader, that access is incredibly important, and the student seat holds a very special significance. Not that the student seat represents the students and should vote with however the students, the position, because there also is the fiduciary duty, but to be that voice on the board and to bring the concerns of the caucus and of the various student governments to the board, and also to act as a liaison. Because sometimes when student leaders, like when I've gone to the Board of Regents as the former ASUH president, it's difficult. It's hard to know what the board's looking for. It's hard to understand, what kind of pressures are on them and constraints. And so being that liaison and creating that back and forth to say, tell the students, this is what the board's looking for, these are the restraints on them, and then vice versa. I think that's probably the most important aspect of this seat.
Okay. Maybe I'll just ask, as part of your Regents application, you did mention that there were a large number of interim appointments within the university, and you felt that kind of didn't create a sense of stability within the university. What will you be doing in the Board of Regents to make sure that this kind of stays top of mind and that we look to reduce the amount of interim positions or vacant positions at high levels.
I think as a board member, it's very important that at every meeting that there be some update about how this very large interim figure comes down, because as a student at the University of Hawaii, in my time as an undergraduate, we went through 3 chancellors. We're on the 3rd. And the problem with having so many interim appointments is that there are a lot of large challenges facing the university, and many of them were talked about today. And no traction cannot start on these problems with interim appointments who don't know if they're going to be there in 6 months or 12 months. A lot of times there's even reluctance to start working on them because they're not exactly sure how long they'll be there. And in my time as a student at the university, it always seemed as one administrative post was filled, 2 more became vacant. I think it's incredibly important to get a handle on these interim appointments in order to start encouraging permanent administrators to start taking ownership of the problems. And so in turn, it's just, it leads into the president's search, finding the right leader who has a demonstrated ability to be able to attract other leaders with demonstrated ability to just take on these problems and stick around long enough to reach a point where we made some very tangible, positive progress on that.
I guess my last question would be, given that, there has been some testimony raising concerns about communication, if confirmed, what will you do to, in a sense, mend the fences, to open up communication with the various student groups that are your constituencies so that you can be the voice for the students on the regions?
Well, if confirmed, I know there's a caucus meeting on April 25th. I fully intend to be there. It's in my calendar. There's been more than enough problems with communication and access, so I'd like to extend to the caucus leadership, once again, all my contact information. If there's any problems by email or by phone, they're more than welcome to get a hold of me. And I just wanted to reassure them that, I'm always willing to talk. I'll have the student seat. That's my responsibility. And I realize that there may have been some problems in the past, but I wanted to assure them that moving forward, it'll be a very positive and constructive process.
Thank you.
Members, any questions?
If not, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Teichman.
Thank you for
We're
your
gonna
time.
recess briefly and go right into decision making.
you very much. We're going to call this hearing back to order. The committee has conferred, and we're going to be, the chair is going to recommend that we advise and consent on governor's message. We confirm, governor's message 306, 307, 308, 309, 310, 468, and 313. That's all of the conferees that have come before us today. We will be noting, as you heard from the extensive discussion that we just had on Regent nominee Grant Teichman, that there were some concerns raised about communication. So we will be including in the committee report that we would strongly recommend that all sides get together in the very near future so that we can improve the lines of communication amongst all of our student groups. It's an important constituency for our university system. So obviously we'd like to see as much communication and openness and dialogue as possible with the student representative as well as all the members of the regents. So we will be including that in the committee report. But again, we want to thank all of you for your patience and for being here this long. So for the Committee on Higher Education, Senator Sakamoto.
For all of the governor's messages on today's agenda, Senator Takuda.
Aye.
Sakamoto is aye. Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Kokoboon.
Aye.
Senator Taniguchi.
Aye, 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 aye.
2,
I think you
4,
missed an
6,
aye.
7. Okay. Senator Sloan.
Aye.
And 1 excuse. All of these are adopted. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, and congratulations to all the nominees. Okay, so hearing's adjourned.